Hey, thanks for tuning in to Busting Beaks and Chasing Tails. I'm your host, Todd Hogan. With me is Nathan Overberg and Wade Goddard. How are you, Wade?
I'm doing good.
Good deal.
I appreciate you
So,
having me on.
no problem. We wanted to have you on, kind of kick off our turkey season this year. Nathan, kind of go into how you ran across him.
Well, last year, my regional manager reached out to me and they needed some help at the Iowa Deer Classic. So me and one of my buddies drove up and gave one of our partners some help up on one of their booths at the Iowa Deer Classic. And I got to do some walking around and I ran into Wade's booth and just immediately saw what he had to offer, and just is nothing I had ever seen before. And again, just the inventiveness and everything that he puts into this is absolutely amazing. And I'm excited to get him on here and get him talking about what he has for turkey hunting for sure.
Okay, sure. Good deal. So the name of the company is Alive Action Decoys, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. And kind of tell us a little about yourself and how you got into this.
Just a passion of loving to hunt. And I got into it, and guys were wanting motion in their decoys. I was reading about it, never done any turkey hunting. So I finally killed a bird and I made a decoy out of it. And for the next 7 years or so, I just kept at it, and it finally evolved into what it is. And we applied for a patent and started a business, and it's just like a side gig for me. I'm a construction worker close to retirement age, so it came from the passion of hunting and not having a big lease. My neighbor had a lot of birds. He don't hunt them, but he don't allow hunting, so I needed to figure out a way to kill them birds. And that motion, it's a game changer. The string operation, it gives you the ability to be dominant or submissive. So when I first started building them, the DNR reached out to me and was inquiring about them. Once they did that, I actually went and made it electronic as well for law enforcement. So that was the intent. And then in some states, I've been hunting over it, but that's just kind of how it all happened. Just a love of hunting and wanting to be successful.
And you told me before we started recording that you also do taxidermy, correct?
Yeah, I do. I started off doing stuff for myself, and then there's a lot of wonderful taxidermists out there, Callie Morris, and there's a ton of them, and they're very inspiring. And just the true beauty of a turkey. I mean, to me, to harvest that animal and not do anything with it is a crying shame. And so from the very first bird I got, I actually mounted it and put it on a Minute Maid juice jug, believe it or not, and made a decoy out of it. And that's where it all started.
Excellent.
It gives you the ability to be dominant or submissive. So if I see a bird, he sees the decoy, I come to full strut. If he's a dominant bird, I stay in strut, and it's going to hack him off, and he's coming. On the other hand, if you get a younger bird, maybe a submissive bird that comes out of strut, I immediately come out of strut, and then I'll lift the tail a little like I want to strut. No, I better not, and drop it. And so then I'll take the submissive role. So I'll turn the table. I call it reading them, taking their temperature, and then giving them the medicine just off their body language. And it's very effective.
That's cool. How long you been doing this?
2011, it was the first bird I killed. And then I started the business in 2017. So since then, in 21, I got my first patent. And then last year, we received a second patent. So we just go around doing trade shows. And the best part is when I get a video that comes back of a grandfather taking a grandson hunting and getting their first bird, or a good friend of mine, his father was elderly and he couldn't run and gun no more, and he actually killed his last bird. So just think stories like that and helping guys be successful. I do stress the fact that it is so realistic. Guys have to be very careful about how they approach the hunting. We recommend that you don't use it in a public hunt area. Don't hunt on the property line. Don't hunt next to the road. And you just have to be smart about how you set up.
Well, and wait, real quick, let me and again, because we're on a podcast here. Again, we're gonna we will post it on the YouTube channel where people can kind of look and maybe have some pictures and some videos. But just describe real quick, because again, for everyone who hasn't encountered you yet, you have a wide range of options for actually what you do. And so real quick, let just kind of go into detail and describe. I mean, I don't think you guys don't understand. Wade will take a full mounted turkey and will make the tail fan go back, fold up, tilt to one side or the other, and he can actually put it on a track to where this thing can make a full circle and move. What is it, about 2 or 3 feet, I would say, Wade?
A foot of travel. I could make the distance longer, but being string operated and the turkeys can see so well, I didn't see any need to make the distance, the travel of the decoy longer than what you can comfortably move without. So that runway, first of all, the tail is spring loaded and elastic. Okay, so when you're pulling on the line, the control bar, it manipulates the elastic and it will come to full fan. And then when you let off, the elastic takes it back to a closed position, and then it's on a hinge. So when you pull on it, it hinges up and fans out. And then if you turn the control bar to the left, it'll canter one side. If you turn the control bar the other way, the fan will canter the other way. If you let off, it'll collapse and go down, or any position in between not being in strut or full strut. You can achieve anything.
I've seen some of the videos and it's impressive.
Well, thank you.
It really is. I mean, especially, and again, I just kind of wanted you to touch on that. And I mean, again, guys, we're talking about a full taxidermied real turkey. I mean, real feathers, head from front to back. And again, everything in motion, on the strings and everything you control from the blind or wherever your position is, correct?
Correct. When I first developed it and applied for the patent, there was a lot of claims involved. And so I had to sell it with comments and everything. I had to sell it as I patented it. Since then, I've applied for a patent just on the tail assembly. So now I can break it apart and I can sell it that way. So now I actually offer it. Just the tail assembly would be the base, would be where you're starting out, would be the cheapest way you could go. And then you can add, once the base price is met, which I'm doing it too cheap, $199 to do a tail. You're hooked up on fishing line street, you're ready to go hunt. No assembly required. I'm doing it all. $199, that's an ice fishing reel. You can upgrade to a bait caster. It's a little slicker. You don't have to pull the plastic peg and be attentive to the reel as much. And then the runway is PVC pipe constructed, the underside. It's spring loaded with a bungee cord. All this works together as a unit. So the decoy can detach from the runway. You can put it on a stake. Now I've broken it up to where you can, I've got one right here. So can you see that?
Yeah, we can see it. If you could kind of explain it to the people that will be listening, though.
So it's just spring loaded with the elastic, and you pull on it and it fans, and then you let off, it collapses and goes down. And then you can achieve anything in between. You can put that wherever you want it with very little movement. And then it oscillates from side to side.
Now, is this, I know, like, in many states, like mechanical or remote control decoys aren't legal. Is this, how do most states consider this? Is this legal in most states?
Most states, yes, but you have to check your state regulations. In Illinois, strings are legal.
Okay.
In Nebraska, you can use the electronic. So, and then there are some states like Michigan, no mechanical decoys. You're only allowed to use static decoys that would move with the wind.
Okay. Let's, we're going to post pictures to the Facebook page, but Nathan and I are sitting here recording this so we can see his shop behind him. And I'm telling you, it's very cool. Now, you were saying earlier that, you're making these with real feathers. So are you getting these, you have to get a fan from the particular hunter?
Yes. And I have to have date of kill, the harvest tag, it has to, some states, it's been a little learning curve for me because some states have different regulations and different laws about the taxidermy, but we abide by our Illinois taxidermy laws. But yeah, we can't, it would be illegal for me to sell any feathers. I can't sell any part of a turkey.
Okay.
So you have to bring me a bird. Now I have made some man-made silk fans, but if I charge for my labor, they're pretty pricey if I make it. And then I've killed my biggest bird using the silk fan, just trying to promote my product. But it's hard not to take the real thing when you got it sitting there. Yeah. So
as far as the decoy itself, not just the fan, is this a plastic mold that you're painting, or is this, how's that?
What I've done, I started off doing taxidermy, and then I wanted to make it cheaper, more affordable for the average guy like myself. So I took my technique, and I took my first decoy was a Primo's decoy, and I applied their decoy to my apparatus. So, and then in 2019, DSD came out with the Jake Strutter, which is a hard molded decoy with the wings and the tail deck. I'm actually able to utilize his body for leverage points to manipulate the tail, where in taxidermy, I'm building a pipe mock-up and creating my leverage points. I'm actually taking piping and making a mock-up, creating my leverage points with the piping for taxidermy. With the DSD, I'm just utilizing the body. With the Primo's decoy, I had to use a pipe mock-up because the decoy wasn't rigid enough to be able to use it for leverage points. But that's kind of the long and the short of it.
Okay.
And that's what I wanted to have you touch on, Wade, there, is because I'm sure everybody like myself, as soon as I saw it, and again, don't get me wrong, the full taxidermy turkey is absolutely unreal. I mean, the looks and everything. I mean, it's a real turkey, but anyone like myself, when I talked to Wade there in Iowa, I'm like, man, that has got to be really expensive. And that's when Wade had come out, as he just touched on. He basically just attached, you can buy a decoy or his decoy, attach his fan apparatus to where you can still control it and move it on his strings. And Wade, am I not mistaken? Those are much more cost effective than the whole complete taxidermy apparatus put together, right?
Correct. And like I had mentioned, when we first applied for our patent, it was in a world we had never been into. All the claims, with claiming all that, I had to sell the runway, the decoy, whatever I was doing, all as a package. Since then, I've gotten the second patent, gives me the ability to break it free. So now I can just sell the tail, and then a guy can take that, and you could take that tail assembly there, and you could apply your own decoy to it. That's the money shot. that tail coming to full fan, up or down. I've actually got about 45 minutes of video of a tom flogging the stake system, no body whatsoever, just the tail, flogging it, leaving, come back and flogging it again. And I never did harvest that bird. I was just getting the video. Now, the DSD, there's so many people that love the DSD. It's a beautiful decoy. When he come out with that, it was just, I was drawn to it, and I apply the tail to that. So once the guy gets the tail assembly, you know, if you want the DSD, I can put it on there for you. I mean, it's pretty simple. You're 4 eyelets in the decoy and putting a union on it, and then my tail assembly bolts onto the back of it, and that's pretty much where I'm charging the base price. And then if you want to add the decoy, I'm just charging you for the decoy. And I'm actually doing this so cheap. I'm covering my costs, but I'm wanting to get decoys out there. And I'm wanting the guys to be successful. And I'm not trying to make a ton of money off a guy. I'm just trying to get them out there. And which a lot of guys are using them. And every year I get busier and busier. And it's an investment. The way I'm building these, you guys, that tail assembly is built out of sheet metal. All the eyelets are stainless steel. It's braided line. I'm still hunting over the DSD that I rigged up from 2019. It's still in perfect working order. So yes, the initial cost, it's going to set you back a little bit, but it's an investment. When to interact, that decoy is actually giving you the ability to interact with these turkeys the same way as if you were calling to them, just visually. And sometimes the calling, if you're hunting a lot of pressured birds, the calling will turn them around. Where that decoy, and it's pretty much sealed deal.
That's what I was going to ask you. Like on a bird that might get hung up, that little bit of movement may be just enough to say, oh yeah, I need to get in there.
Yeah, and then the more I'm still learning with all the abilities that the decoy will actually give you. I actually sold the decoy. It's on my Facebook page. You got to click on it. A lot of people don't want to click on it. It's the best video I got last year. It's a grandfather and his grandson hunting. He had missed the decoy work that morning. They were hunting in Indiana. The decoy worked that morning. The kid missed. Well, then that evening they went back out. They had another tom come in. He came and running across the field like a freight train. He gets into the decoy. He flogs it, knocks the decoy over. The kid still can't get on it. So the kid's on his dad's lap, and grandpa's working the decoy in the camera. The bird knocks the decoy, the runway, the whole thing over on its side, and the bird's leaving. He still didn't get the shot off. Grandpa grabs the strings, even though the decoy is laying on its side. He grabs the strings and puts movement to that tail. That big tom spun around, come back again, and then he killed the bird. And all on video. That's my favorite video. And just stories like that. I mean, how can you beat that? That kid. If you go and watch that video, you'll be smiling from ear to ear seeing it.
That's cool.
All.
I know.
Yeah, well,
go ahead, Nathan.
Well, and I was going to say that, you know, with the calling and everything else, you touched on pressured birds, Wade. You know, it's the same thing with birds that have seen decoys before. You know, you can go put a set out there, and I mean, those birds might go strut at, you know, set 60, 70, 80 yards, never come any closer, never fully commit, you know. And a lot of the times, again, if you put a little action to it, it's what will bring them all the way in. I know a lot of states, you can't reap or use that, what they call strutter decoy right out in front of you. But again, a lot of the times that's why that is so effective. When you're right behind or laying down behind that decoy, that little bit of movement that you give to it, and you've created a system here to where you can be set off to the side because talk too. I mean, it can be definitely be dangerous. You don't want to do it on public ground, sitting behind a decoy, moving it. And you've created a system to where you can put some movement to it from a distance, and really get that full committed to some birds that have seen some decoys before too.
And then you learn as you go. It's not foolproof. Your setup has a lot to do with it. You know, I have found that you if you can be, you always want to be in the shadows. You never want the sunlight coming in the blind, and they can see so good. So your setup, you learn the decoy works amazingly in open fields. I mean, I've killed with it in the river bottoms. I've killed with it in hollers, but in a field setting, I mean, a bird comes out anywhere, you get a big flat open field. If a bird comes into that field, I mean, the chances are it. Now, I see some guys that want to get herky jerky with it. No, you know, slow, steady, fluid motions. If that bird ever comes out of strut, you come out of strut and then lift the tail. You learn tricks along the way. Like that grandpa, when that decoy got knocked over, the bird was leaving. I mean, it's on our page. You can go look at it. The bird was leaving. And then he reached down there and pulled the, and then the tail assembly wasn't able to fan fully, but only because it was laying on its side, only half of it was opening up. But just that little bit of motion turned that joker around. And you know how they act when you shoot one. You know, sometimes the other birds are coming in the same setup. And I had birds knock me over before, and I was always trying to get the shot, or I never thought to actually work. But now, I mean, that's in the brain bank. You know, I mean, I'll remember that in the future if I ever get knocked over again. The game ain't over yet. Oh.
What's like the optimal distance it needs to be away? I mean, can you get too far from it? Of course, you don't want your decoys out too far, but I mean, what?
Yeah, I strictly bow hunt. So I'm setting it up. I'm 8 to 10 yards, and I love using the guillotines. So I'm setting it up close. Some guys want to be further away. The ice fishing reel, so it takes 2 lines to operate the decoy. You have a control bar, and so I'm spooling 2 lines onto that ice fishing reel. I got a left and a right, and I have a T-bar for a control bar, so you control the decoy. The ice fishing reel, I could get you out to 20 yards. If someone wanted to be further, like the law enforcement, you can set them up on a bait caster, and the size of the bait caster will determine how far away they want to get. So, and when the first ones I built, I was, you know, I'm a construction worker, 3 kids, college, all that business. When I first went to the wife and with the taxidermy book, and she said, "Are you out of your mind? You know, what I've been for a decoy." That's how I built the first one on a milk jug. But, yeah, I just, the bait caster, you can get further away. You don't need to. I like it in tight. The remote control, once the law enforcement, I'm a vendor for them now. Once they approached me, I was still in the patent process, and I was able to change up some language and actually get that incorporated. So, and then I went ahead and I felt that there was a need for it. So I went ahead and made it electronic as well, with some help with a few guys in that industry.
Just seeing the videos of yours, I mean, anybody that wanted to act foolish and try to poach one, they'd be you'd be hard pressed to tell the real thing.
Yeah, it's as I go. Like I said earlier, like looking at Callie Morrison's work, I'm sure you guys have seen it. I mean, he's so inspiring and does such beautiful work. I'm in awe just by this beauty of the turkey. And then, so I was drawn to that, you know, I mean, and then, like I said earlier, harvesting that bird, not only do we eat it, but I never wanted to throw a bird away or disregard the feathers. So that's how I started off making my first ones. But it's been a lot of fun. It's very successful. it's just, I do catch a little bit of flack from guys saying somebody's going to get shot, and we will not sell a decoy to a minor. And we've had younger gentlemen call wanting a decoy, and it's usually my wife dealing with them. But we have sold them, but only after we speak with the parent and get their consent, because it's just that realistic. And if you put yourself in a bad situation, I mean, turkey hunting's dangerous, and
Yes.
a lot of guys have gotten shot. So it's definitely a concern of ours, and we would never want anyone to ever get hurt. But for me, getting into turkey hunting, I wasn't the best at it. Calling, I'd always been deer hunting. I was raised pheasant and quail hunting over bird dogs. My dad didn't deer hunt. He didn't turkey hunt. Later in life, I got back into hunting, in the deer hunting and bow hunting. The birds in Illinois are pretty much very few. I started noticing the turkeys, started doing some research. Guys were wanting that movement. They were getting birds hung up. And for years, they'd say, "Where's Dad?" He's in the basement playing with turkey feathers again. They thought I was great. So, but, you know, I believe God had his hand on me and give me the idea and the passion. I know he did. And just with determination and the love of it. And I mean, I pulled it off.
It's
There,
slick.
there has been some mechanical turkey decoys out there. There's actually a gentleman that makes a tail in Florida. I don't know if he still does. His feathers, he's broke the tail in pieces, like in thirds per se. So a third of it, he's getting motion. I've actually gotten it to where every feather's independent of each other. They're all harnessed together in a harness. Now, it is labor intensive. I'm hand sewing each feather into that harness. So
let me ask you that, Wade. It was something I wanted to ask you anyway, not to cut you off, but what kind of labor, what kind of time are you looking at for each one of these?
I go like I'm killing snakes, and I've done a bunch of them, so I'm pretty quick at it, and I've got some systems down. About 2 hours.
Oh,
Do one is what. Now that's just the tail assembly, and that's just the primary feathers. Now I take the primary feathers as the base price, so I'm hooking you up 18 feathers into a tail assembly on an ice fishing reel, and you've got control of your tail. If you want the secondary feathers and the plumage feathers, I can attach them to the tail assembly with Velcro just to give it a little more look. I show guys at the trade shows how to do it themselves if they just want to spend the least amount. I've been very outgoing trying to help guys. And that was one of the reasons where I broke it into just a stake system and a tail assembly. And then some guys don't want to carry the decoy and the runway and all that. So for the runner gunner style hunter, so this stake system, you're not going to find anything lighter than that. PVC pipe and a tail assembly, basically, in an ice fishing reel. I mean, and then I've also created it to where you can disassemble it and put it in your vest. So it disassembles in 5 seconds, and then you can put it back together. You can break it completely down, put it in your vest, hike in a mile, 2 miles, whatever, reassemble it. You're ready to roll.
very cool. Nathan, you got anything you want to fire off at Wade? I don't want to keep him too long, but I like we both said, it's a slick product. I want to talk to him.
Yeah, no, really, I just encourage everyone to go. And again, Wade, feel free to, throw your social medias or where you want them to go check you out, because, and until I saw it firsthand, I mean, you just don't realize the ingenuity and everything. And again, the labor and the time he has in this. And as you can see from hearing from him, he's thought about just about every scenario, and he has something for just about everyone and just about everybody. So I really just encourage you to check him out. His product is great. The ingenuity behind it is just unreal, and just really, really, I think it will help you get some birds to close that distance and close the deal for sure.
Wade, what trade shows are you going to this spring?
We're going to go back to Iowa, and we're going to do Wisconsin.
Okay.
So we'll be in the Dells, and then back to Iowa again. I try to target states where the delivery is the least expensive. We've been to Nashville. We've been to a lot of different states, but the shipping's deadly. So I shipped them as far as Oregon. That poor guy paid darn near as much to get the decoy as what it cost for the decoy. He had to have it. But so we try to stay in the Midwest where we use speedy delivery, and we pretty much that's where we've gotten most of our sales, because the shipping does shoot some guys in the foot.
Sure. What are your contact information if you want to give that out, or certainly your Facebook page? And I don't know if you have Instagram or not, but what's that information?
Alive Action Decoys on Facebook. If you message us on there,
Okay.
We're working on a website, but we're just not there yet. We'll be there before next spring. We'll have a website. We're rocking and rolling, but right now it looks a little rinky dink. But I have a full-time job. I'm busy. 3 kids, 2 grandkids. My wife, she works. So this has just been a passion. It grew from strictly passion and the love of hunting. And we're getting there. We're getting there, and I'm getting closer to retiring. This will be my next career.
There you go. Well, I know I contacted you through Messenger, and you said you both work, but I got replies back real quick just about talking to you, and you've got I think looks like maybe an automatic reply when you're at work that if hey, we got your message and we'll contact you back.
I don't know where that came from. I think that's nothing we have done, and it's aggravating for me. The wife usually handles most of she's a school bus driver, so she gets breaks. Once I go to work, I'm married to a lot of times I can't even have a phone on site. So in some of the facilities that I work, so she does pretty good with staying up on top of things.
Okay. Well, go ahead, Nathan. Sorry, buddy.
Well, and just to make sure everybody, it's Alive Action Decoys, ALIVE Action Decoys is his Facebook page. And like I said, I encourage everybody to at least go check him out. I mean, it's just as neat as it can be. And they are some absolute killer decoys. The movement and everything's unreal. So go check him out.
I appreciate that.
We're going to post when we post podcast, we will also post some pictures. So all right, well, Wade, we certainly appreciate you being on, bud. You're going to probably kick off turkey season for us, so you'll probably be the first one we launch this year as far as turkey season goes, so we do appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate you guys having me on. You guys are nice guys. I'd love to go hunting, so give me a shot.
All right. Thank you, Wade. We appreciate it.
All right. Thank you.